Welcome to How to Cook That. I'm Ann Reardon and today we're making a yummy vanilla mousse with a fresh strawberry sauce in the centre, all covered in a pretty rose flavoured jelly. This week's Notification Squad shout out goes to Tamina, Liz, Megan, Lisa and Hannah. For your chance at a shout out, subscribe to How to Cook That and write done in the comments for me. To make the centre of this dessert you will need eggs, flour, sugar, water, milk and butter. Place the sugar and the water and the milk and the butter into a pan, and all these recipe quantities are on the howtocookthat.net website for you, and I'll link to that below. Place that over a high heat, leaving it until the butter is melted, and then add in the flour all at once, whisking it through, and then you'll need to swap to a spoon because this is going to get really thick. Once it is thick, I want you to keep stirring that over the heat for at least another minute until you get a firm ball of dough. Take it off the heat and add your eggs in one at a time, whisking that through. Keep whisking and use your muscles. This is really still quite thick. Add in all of those eggs and then keep whisking until you get a smooth paste like this. Place that into a piping bag fitted with a round tip and pipe small dollops onto a tray. If you don't have a piping bag, you can just use a Ziploc bag and cut the corner off it. Now use your finger to gently press down each of the tops. You'll need to dip your finger in some water first before you do this, or the dough will stick to your finger. Lightly spray the tops with cooking oil and then place that in the oven at 200 degrees C or 390 degrees F, just until they puff up and they turn golden. This is called choux pastry, and it's the same pastry that you use to make eclairs, profiteroles and croquembouche, and I'll link you to all those recipes at the end. While they're cooling, grab some strawberries, some icing sugar and some masala. Now masala is just a sweet Italian dessert wine, and you can leave that out if you prefer. Slice up your strawberries into quarters and then place them into the pan with the icing sugar and the masala, or swap that for water if you want. Heat that over a high heat. Just keep stirring it and allow it to come to the boil, and then you want to simmer it for a few minutes until those strawberries are softened. Mash that with a potato masher, or if you have a blender or a Bay mix, you can use that instead just to get all the lumps out. And that's a really easy to make, fresh, yummy strawberry sauce that you can use on any dessert. For the jelly on the outside, you're going to need water, sugar, gelatin, food colouring and flavouring. I'm using rose water in mine, and a little bit of glycerin. Add the gelatin sheets to the water, and I get asked a lot of questions about what's the difference between gelatin sheets and gelatin powder. The sheets set clearer and have less taste than the powder does. So if it's an element of your dessert that needs to be particularly clear or has a very delicate flavour, use the sheets. But they are more expensive, so use powdered gelatin for everything else. After a minute, the sheets will be soft. Just squeeze out some of the water and place them aside in a separate bowl. Add the sugar to the water along with the flavouring of your choice and the glycerin. The glycerin here just makes the jelly a bit more flexible and less prone to breaking. Then add the amount of food colouring that you want and heat that in the microwave or on the stovetop until it just starts to boil. Add the gelatin back in and stir it until that's dissolved. Now pour that into a tray lined with plastic wrap and leave it in the fridge to set. For our yummy vanilla mousse, you need milk, sugar, egg yolks, corn flour, gelatin and vanilla beans, and you'll need some cream a bit later on too. Cut your vanilla beans in half and scrape out the seeds. If you can't get vanilla beans, you can use vanilla essence here instead. Pour some of the milk into the gelatin and stir it well, and then just leave that to absorb all the moisture. Place the rest of your milk into a pan and add in the seeds from your vanilla bean. Put the egg yolks in with the sugar and add the corn flour or the cornstarch in there too, and mix that up really well. Bring the milk mixture to the boil and then pour in a little bit of that into your eggs and stir that to combine it until the eggs are all mixed through and it's thinned down a bit, and then pour that egg yolk mixture into the pan and whisk that until it thickens. Once it is thick, continue to stir it over the heat for about 30 seconds more so it cooks all that flour. Take it off the heat and add in your gelatin and keep stirring that until the gelatin is all melted in and it's all mixed through. Place plastic wrap over the top and push it down so it's touching the surface of the custard, and this is going to stop a skin forming on top, and you want to leave that to cool to room temperature. Take your profiteroles and fill each one with your strawberry sauce. You just want to pipe in the sauce until you feel that pastry start to expand, and then you'll know that it's full. Once your custard is cooled to room temperature, measure out your cream and split it into 2 bowls. Add half of your custard into one bowl and whip it on high speed until it is thick and smooth. Place some of the mousse into a hemisphere mould and add a profiterole into the centre of each one. Make sure the mousse is coming to the top of the mould and then place them into the freezer. Once they're frozen, you can just tip them out of the mould, then refill the bottom of the mould with the other half of the mousse. When you prepare this half of the mousse, you will need to heat the custard mixture slightly before whipping the cream into it because it will have set. Add the other half on top, pushing down so that the mousse joins together, and then you want to freeze that again. Take your jelly out of the fridge and place a sheet of baking paper on top, and then just flip that over like that. Peel off the plastic wrap, cut off the crooked edge, and then make straight cuts to make little squares of jelly. Take one of your desserts out of the mould and place it onto a serving plate. Then take a square of jelly and place it onto a hot tray. Let the bottom melt a little and then add it onto the frozen dessert. If you just hold it there for a second, the coldness of the dessert will set the jelly underneath, gluing it into place. Continue to do that, adding them all over the entire dessert. Now you can leave it just like that, or you can cut some squares into quarters and add them into the gaps. And there you have a pretty dessert with yummy strawberry sauce in the centre. Click here to go to the How to Cook That shop, here for the croquembouche recipe, and here for the latest video. Let me know what you'd like to see next. Make it a great week, and I'll see you on Friday.